Welcome to Vanadium. I'm Chris Rankin. The more I learn about this mad world, the more mysterious it seems. It's frightening to consider the possibility of losing control of your decision-making, your will, to have your view of the world, your perspective, distorted by an outside, alien force. Something else influencing and sometimes guiding your emotions, even your cognition. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi or horror movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, or The Exorcist. Something like that couldn't be real. You and I are conscious. We're making the decisions. It's us in charge. It just has to be. But it doesn't have to be. And sometimes it just isn't that simple. Turns out there are a few more real monsters out there. Parasitic diseases have been documented and studied for centuries. It's scary enough to think of a foreign organism taking up residence in your colon, your brain, or anywhere else. It's well known that parasites, generally very simple organisms, could get into our bodies to survive, do their thing, eat, reproduce, and sometimes wreak some general physical havoc in the process. However, there is a more complex, mysterious, darker side to parasitic diseases. Scientists have started to realize that often many parasites are doing a lot more than just hanging out and living the good life. In some cases, the parasites seem to be calling the shots, making people and other animals behave in all kinds of uncharacteristic, sometimes very dangerous ways. Parasites can even drive their hosts to suicide. Nematomorphs, also referred to as horsehair worms or hair snakes, can be found in freshwater lakes and streams all over the world. These simple, unsegmented nematode roundworms range in size from 2 to 4 inches long, about 5 to 10 centimeters, and are known to tie themselves in knots while inside the hosts. They infect freshwater crustaceans, but also crickets and cockroaches if these unlucky would-be hosts happen to be imbibing in the wrong drinking spot. When hair snakes parasitize land insects, the story gets sinister. While the worm is inside a cricket or cockroach, it may have all the food and warmth it needs, but it has a problem. To reproduce, it needs to get its tiny little baby parasites to water so the cycle can continue. So what happens? The worm actually takes control of the cockroach or cricket's brain and nervous system, then wills the host insect to make a special trek to a lake, river, or pond somewhere. Then the worm compels the host to disregard all safety, to jump right in the water, to drown itself, to commit suicide. After this, the parasitic nematomorph and its little ones can pop right out back in the water, where it can start all over. There are also parasitic trematodes, or flatworms, that infect snails and actually change the growth and appearance of the snail's eyes. Once infected with the trematodes, the snail starts going through changes. Their eye stalks bulge and change color to bright red, blue, and yellow. The next host for the flatworm parasite, a bird, sees the snail's jazzy eyeballs and thinks, yum, juicy maggots, or some other bird treat. The hungry and unlucky bird then pecks off the snail's eyes, with the trematode hitching a ride along. Once inside the bird's intestine, the worm can complete its life cycle. Another example, the cordyceps fungus infects ants before making them travel to the top of the tree canopy where they die. At the top, the fungus splits the ant apart, scattering the spores a maximum distance over the forest to infect as many more victims as possible. The next example is one that has been with humans since ancient times, but science is only recently coming to terms with the fact that Toxoplasma gondii is infecting and influencing individuals and society itself. This ancient, microscopic protozoan is one of the most successful parasites and organisms in the history of planet Earth, infecting a wide range of warm-blooded animals, including humans. One of the main factors contributing to its worldwide propagation is toxo's ability to alter the behavior of its hosts. This parasite has been shown in labs to introduce changes in rodents, including increased exploratory behavior, increased curiosity, and loss of fear, especially the fear of cats. It can even make rats and mice attracted to the smell of cat urine. In humans, toxoplasmosis is a very common chronic parasitic infection, with an estimated prevalence of 30 to 70% among the population worldwide. While most infected individuals have traditionally been considered to be clinically asymptomatic, there is now mounting evidence that infection causes several subtle and not so subtle behavioral changes, even in those with a healthy immune system. Infected men tend to have higher than average levels of testosterone, while infected women show significantly lower levels compared to their non-infected equivalents. In some studies, men were shown to be more likely to disregard rules and show increased levels of suspicion and jealousy. On the other hand, women were less jealous and suspicious and more conscientious and socially responsible when they were infected. Research on the linkage between toxoplasma infection and entrepreneurial behavior showed that university students who tested positive for the parasite were 1.7 times more likely to focus their studies in management and entrepreneurship. Those with toxoplasmosis are nearly twice as likely to own their own business, and also have a nearly 3 times higher risk of getting into a traffic accident. It seems that Toxoplasma gondii has quite an impact on risk assessment and inhibition, but it goes even deeper than that. In addition to risk tolerance, toxo has profound effects on how rewards modulate human behavior. Studies are now starting to show that adults with toxoplasmosis demonstrate a greatly diminished psychological response to money as compared to their non-infected counterparts. So people with toxo are more likely to overcome the anxious psychological barrier to starting their own business and more comfortable with the associated risks. But paradoxically, less concern focused on and influenced directly by the financial benefits. Those infected are taking the risks for the sake of taking the risks. Findings also suggest that Toxoplasma gondii infection is associated with several psychiatric disorders, one of them being schizophrenia. It's not just Toxoplasma and other parasites influencing our behavior. They're just the ones science happened to spot first. We are quite literally covered in microbes, and our human cells are outnumbered by bacterial cells 8 to 1. We're more microbial than human. This microbiome has been shown to regulate not just the digestion and breakdown of food, but a growing array of metabolic and physiological processes. Intestinal microbes that break down food also directly impact the production of the neurotransmitter serotonin, which can then in turn affect human behavior at a profound level. Serotonin influences appetite, pain sensitivity, sexual behavior, mood, and even cognition. So bacteria are playing a large part in our entire experience of life. The individual human mind may be more of a collective than it seems. Toxoplasma gondii is whispering in our ears to take risks, ride motorcycles, adopt cats from shelters, start businesses. Our intestinal bacterial colonies are making us anxious and depressed. Science is only just beginning to unravel how these microscopic overlords are manipulating our mood, our outlook, our decisions. If you think about it, parasites and other microbes may not only be influencing individuals, they may be impacting the trajectory of society and civilization itself. Thank you very much. This is Chris Rankin with Vanadium.